Cosmic Shakti, baby!
To purchase t-shirts and merchandise with my art on it, just click on the eye on the top right hand side of the screen and it will take you right to my shop. So today I'm going to do some chest, back, and biceps. And you know, my shoulder strength is just starting to come back after, you know, I took that summer off, like about 6 weeks off training to get the shoulder healed up and everything. And now I'm starting to do some rehabilitation exercises as well, some more external rotation type stuff. And it's really been helping out. I mean, here's one of the exercises I do when I lay on my side and I externally rotate the arm. I keep the elbow in. That's been really helping. It takes about a few weeks too for the exercises to start taking effect. But I noticed that it's helping restabilize my shoulder because, you know, sometimes when you know, say there's a mild tear somewhere, or maybe a labral tear, or maybe there's some instability in the joint, you're really dependent on those stabilizer muscles or the external rotators to keep the shoulder in one piece. So it never hurts to strengthen them up, you know, because sometimes after a trauma, some muscles shut off, some turn on too much, you know, that we call those trigger points. You know, some muscles are too tight. So you want to reestablish the proper balance in there at that time, right? So the funny thing is that when you watch me bench, you know, you notice my butt shift around and stuff, and I've actually watched some pros do the same thing. Not that I'm a pro or anything anymore, but the fact is that when my bum shifts around, you know, there's one challenge with these benches that you don't really see from this angle is sometimes they're actually off kilter, sometimes they're out of balance. Like, so if you put a level on there, you'll notice that there might be, you know, a 2 or 3 degree dip on one side or the other. So it's funny, a lot of times you'll come to the gym and there's like a piece of paper towel under one side or the other just to, you know, balance it out. So you're always trying to find that stability or that balance. So I guess you keep your body guessing, right? So much for the professional type of flat bench. But the problem is that a lot of gyms have this going on. Not all the benches are always on a stable flat surface. So yeah, bear that in mind when I'm benching here and I'm getting my groove back. So you notice that sometimes on the first couple reps I don't go down quite as low, especially at first with heavier weight, and then I'll come down a little bit lower after that, after I feel like I'm warm or I've got the groove down, right? So, you know, some people, they'll just jump right into a set or jump right into an exercise and go all the way down and all the way up. I find it's safer for me to do a shallower depth sometimes in a few reps and then come down a little bit lower after that. Of course, you know, I don't touch my chest, and those of you that are longtime watchers know why. But the fact is that I find this is a perfect groove. So my shoulder's feeling good. That's the good news. So today, you know, I've been feeling like pushing it a little bit more. So I'll do like 5 sets of, you know, anywhere from 5 to 7 or 8 reps. I can't remember what I got on the first set here, and I don't want to stop the recording just to check. But the fact is that I can usually do this for sets of 10 to 15 reps. That's probably where I'm, you know, my shoulder's feeling good. That's usually where I'm at once my groove is down. And right now I'm at about 7 or 8. And then of course at the 5th set, I'm down to like 3, 4, 5 reps, you know, because I am hitting failure, you know, I'm hitting close to failure. But the fact is that I'm doing 5 sets because I want my body and my nervous system to get used to carrying that weight. You know, that's the big thing, is you want your body to get used to it, right? And then of course I do the rep out days. You know, for those of you that are just tuning in here that you don't know that, but I'll do, you know, the high rep days. I'll do 225 for sets of 25 reps, you know, and do multiple sets like that, or the 100-pound dumbbells for sets of 20, 25 reps. You know, this is, you know, all part of bodybuilding and training. So you do have to do your power movements, and you have to do your heavy weight, and then you have to do your lightweight as well. As a natural bodybuilder, you have to work all the muscle fibers, and the nervous system is important. You have to actually get that strength. So basically what they call it is like the receptors in the muscle, not just the receptors, but the micro units, they call them. You know, they're basically the little satellite points that fire the nervous system. They fire the electricity to actually fire the muscles around in the area, or the muscle fibers, right? So, you know, from bench press I moved over to dumbbells, and usually I only do about 4 or 5 sets for chest if I'm training chest every second day. Okay, so right now I'm doing the 2-day split most often, and then the odd day I'll throw in a full day workout. Okay, so I'm always changing this up. So I know every second video you're seeing me, you're like, geez, Jay, you changed it up. Last time you're doing the full body workout, what are you doing now? So this is what I'm doing right now. The last 2 weeks I've been doing more of a 2-day split. Chest and back and biceps in one day, and shoulders, tris, and legs in another day. And the thing is with this is that I'm actually adding some volume here because it is necessary to add some volume sometimes in order to add muscle mass. Doing it with 2 or 3 sets and working out every day is great in working one type of muscle fiber. I found that it does work the muscles, but at the same time there are other muscle groups that you don't actually hit because you never get into that volume, right? So I found that it works best if I get into some volume workouts as well, like 7 or 8 sets, 9 sets for a muscle group. And stay with a certain frequency, such as 2 to 3 days a week. Now, you will have to find your perfect groove in this, but this is what seems to work for me, and that's what it feels right? So another thing I've adjusted with my incline too is I brought my elbows a little bit more down to the waist rather than up by my ears. And I found that actually hits the upper chest a little bit harder and takes some of the stress off the front delt. So that's just a minor tweak that I've done with my inclines there. So here's the bent over row. It's one of my favorite ones because of my dislocated shoulder on my right side. I found that when I pull or when I'm doing back movements, I'm a little bit out of balance. Okay, so if I'm pulling with a barbell, I find that my right arm hangs down a little lower than my left, so sometimes it'll throw off my balance. So I find with dumbbells, this helps actually balance this out a little bit, and I can find that perfect torque curve and really get a good back workout without actually having to worry about being off balance. Now, that by no means means that I quit barbell rows. I still do those as well, but I find dumbbell rows, you really get that nice retraction of the back. You really get that good squeeze between the shoulder blades, and you also get the chance to roll the shoulders forward a bit and get that stretch in the traps and the rhomboids in between. So just remember, if you're ever doing bent over rows, keep the back arched. You'll notice that my back is always arched, or at least flat. And if it rounds just a tiny bit, that's not what I want. And sometimes that does happen, but the goal is to keep it really stable, to keep it arched and flat the whole time. So if you have trouble with pull-ups, this is probably the last thing you want to do. You don't want to be training your back first and then go to pull-ups. Okay, so what I've done is pre-exhausted my back, and now I've made myself look like a little girl on pull-ups, and I can barely do 10 or so. And I am adjusting my technique just for fun. A lot of times the hate on the internet is always fun too. You always challenge yourself because people are like, oh, you're not going all the way up. Meanwhile, they don't understand that I lean back because I'm trying to get the back, and because my Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, and the fact is that I'm trying to squeeze the lats as much as possible when I come up. I'm not worried about where my chin is. I'm just worried about the angles in the shoulder, the angles in there. I'm worried about, stretching and contracting, right? So I'm really looking at really getting a good pump in those lats, and whatever form makes that happen, that's what I'm doing, right? So I finished off with the 2 or 3 sets of that. And then I went over to incline curl, which is one of my favorite bicep exercises, which I've gotten away from for the last few years just out of laziness, and when I was playing a lot of hockey, I actually didn't really like training arms because every time I went to the ice rink and started to stick handle, my stick handling was horrible. And I tell you, there's nothing more disturbing than you're skating your butt off for 2 minutes or a minute and a half. Sometimes you take a long shift and then you finally get the puck and then you can't do anything with it because your arms are too pumped and you can't stick handle. So a lot of hockey players out there, they don't really train arms that often just because of that whole thing. If you have a hockey game that day, training arms is just a nightmare. It's just the bane of anybody that wants to, stick handle. I'm sure it's probably the same for basketball players too. They train triceps and stuff. All of a sudden they're, go through all this work and then they go to take a shot and then they've got to recalibrate, right? So yeah, so that's why I got out of arm training for quite a few years there. I train here and there, just get a little pump and stuff, but seeing as I was training hockey, 3 or 4 days a week, I was always not training arms because I was trying to avoid, messing up my stick handling. So this is kind of fun. I'm actually trying to build my arms back to where they were before, and I'm having a good time with this actually. So yeah, so here I am doing the incline curl, and you notice I never straighten my arm, just so you know. Okay, you already know this, but I don't straighten my arm because when I straighten the arm, I find that it's actually hard on the elbows, and it doesn't actually give my bicep any more of a burn. It just takes the tension off the bicep. So my whole point is to keep the tension on the bicep the whole time. Second of all, I'm, swinging a bit and stuff with the 50 pounders. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm trying to challenge the nervous system and say, hey, get strong enough to lift this weight. Even if it doesn't feel like the muscles are doing it really smoothly or anything, my job is to challenge them in any way I can. So you challenge through reps, and sometimes you'll challenge through form. It doesn't always have to look pretty in order for it to work, right? So, try those incline curls. They were really the secret to my bicep growth. A lot of people really misunderstand, how to build biceps. They think by doing the super strict form and all this kind of stuff is the best way to do it. And that might work for you, but if it's not working for you, then really try this stretching type of motion on the incline. Just don't go too extreme because you don't want to stretch your shoulders out. Okay, so here's another rehabilitation type movement that a lot of people don't do, but I did years ago. I had a herniated disc in my back when I was 18 years old. I learned the hard way, what wrong lower back form is when you deadlift or squat. And this is the type of exercise that totally rehabilitated my back and brought that mind-muscle connection back there again, so I can maintain that arch in the back when I'm squatting or when I'm bent over rowing or deadlifting or whatever it is I'm doing. And this is extremely important to be able to maintain. So you notice I allow the back to round because it's supported on the ball and it's not underweight, right? So I'm actually allowing the stretch of the muscles in between the spine, and basically then I'm contracting. And this allows blood to flow in and out, and it actually takes some of the stress off the discs. So basically there's so much compression on the discs, and I'm actually taking some of the stress off there. And so here's another Superman move where I just hold it and I just squeeze and contract, and then just anything that gets a good burn. It really helps that mind-muscle connection, right? So yeah, try this at the gym if you're having lower back tightness or anything like that, and you want to learn how to fire the hamstrings and the back together. And thanks a lot for watching, and make sure you share my stuff if you like it, and I'll talk to you soon. Do it your way. Now you know my name, calling me in a drought. I came to Ridge in 215 and sorted it all out.